You're welcome to I'm Not Repeating Myself podcast. I'm your host, Mike, and I hope you heard what I said the first time because I'm not repeating myself. Glad everybody can be with me on this good Monday. Hope everybody's doing good. Hope everybody had a great weekend. We are definitely feel like we already in the middle of July, man. It'll be like around the 11th, 12th, I think, next week. But nonetheless, this year is flying, man. So I hope everybody's doing good so far. Hope everybody's still staying cool because, we still in peak summer. Hope everybody's still chasing them goals, striving to be the best that they can be. But we definitely had an eventful week. So we're gonna go ahead and get into this first topic. Of course, the verdict from the Sean Diddy Combs trial came down, and he was found not guilty on sex trafficking and racketeering, but guilty on prosecution. So we know this case has been going on since about how long this case been going on? It's been going on for about a few months now, but he's been locked up since about last year. I can't remember exactly how long he's been locked up. We all know the raids first happened around March of last year. I think March or April of last year. And all I can say is when it comes to this verdict is I'm kind of not surprised in terms of how they came to this conclusion because me following this case, I didn't really see them getting him on anything as relates to sex trafficking and racketeering. Them proving that Bad Boy Enterprise was basically running a sex trafficking ring. I just didn't see it. And if you remember, when this first came out, there was reports of minors possibly being involved. And I always said, when it comes to sex trafficking, because that's a very, very serious charge, and usually sex trafficking involves minors. There was never no minors presented throughout this case. Not one time. So I'm not surprised that they came to this verdict. They did get him on the prostitution because I guess they felt like they had to get some type of W. And then even prior to them coming to this verdict, the prosecution even had wanted the jury to they didn't drop the charges. They kind of did want them to focus on the sex trafficking. That was kind of eye opening to me. They didn't want them to focus on the sex trafficking and the racketeering. So to me, that was them kind of scrambling because when you have this high of a charge and you're 24 hours away from deliberation and you basically tell the jury, hey, we kind of want you to just focus on the aspect of this, the don't pay attention to the kidnapping, the sex trafficking, and all this other stuff. So to me, I kind of felt like they dropped the ball. Me personally, after I seen the Cassie video, I was done with Diddy. Me personally, I was done with him. I was like, fuck dude, basically. But he wasn't on trial for this. And I feel like them pushing the Cassie video, them getting testimonies from other people and them giving their accounts and them saying, yeah, he's this type of guy. He's, we all know him to be an abuser and all that. Understandable. He should be held accountable for being an abuser. But that's not what he was charged with. And I feel like if you were going to have a RICO charge, you can. I'm not sure because I'm not a legal expert. I'm not a lawyer, so I don't know. They probably should have had that under the RICO. If you can have these other charges, because it just didn't make sense to me that you would invest this much time, do all these raids, and to me, he got off. He got off, and to me, they completely dropped the ball. They completely dropped the ball. As the jury four person announced not guilty on racketeering, conspiracy, and sex trafficking charge involving Combs' former girlfriend, Cassandra Ventura. The R&B singer known as Cassie Combs put his hand to his face, his fingers resting on his temples. When he heard the word guilty for count three, the first prostitution-related charge, he was startled. But then not guilty came for the second sex trafficking count involving another former girlfriend who testified under Jane. Combs held hands with attorney Tini Garagos and leaned in to talk to her. The grand jury indictment against the 55-year-old Combs, unsealed in September 2024, initially charged the hip-hop mogul with 3 counts following his arrest at a Manhattan hotel in April before the trial began. Prosecutors filed additional charges. Combs pleaded not guilty to all the charges. Count 1, racketeering conspiracy, not guilty. Sex trafficking by force, fraud, or coercion. Count 2, not guilty. Count 3, transportation to engage in prostitution, not guilty. Oh no, guilty. Excuse me. Count 4, sex trafficking by force, fraud, or coercion. Not guilty. Count 5, transportation to engage in prostitution. Guilty. So I guess I think he's not getting bail. They did say he's not getting bail, so his hearing will be October 3rd, I believe. And I found that interesting too, is because regardless of how we feel about Diddy, this is a first time offense. He's a first time offender. He has no previous charges. So I kind of felt like that was them sticking it to him, like, okay, yeah, we, not guilty on this, but you're gonna sit until, your sentencing. And I think I think he can face up to 21 to 55 months in jail for this. Honestly, I see him getting time served and probation. I honestly feel that's what they're gonna do. Of course, we seen the reaction to a lot of it. I seen all that hoopla outside the courthouse, just dumb shit. But honestly, if you want to have an honest conversation, people really got to separate their feelings in this. Like I said, I'm done with Diddy. After I seen the Cassie video, I was like, I'm off, dude. But the fact of the matter is, he wasn't on trial for the video. He wasn't. And I felt like if you was gonna have a RICO charge, again, I'm not no legal expert. I don't know. If you wanted to lump that in there, you probably should have did that, because Bad Boy, if the basis of your argument is that Bad Boy is running a sex trafficking organization, there was no evidence that pointed to that. And unfortunately, just because we seen the video, that doesn't mean that he was going to go to jail for that. It was going to be hard pressed to find that against. And again, there were minors that were involved. Well, allegedly involved, and it was never no minors presented in this case. Not one time. That's what I was always waiting to see. The minors. Where were the minors at? Because when this first came out, there was allegations of 16-year-old, 17-year-old girls being involved. Never was presented. To me, this was just a case exposing the abusive and freaky relationship that Diddy and Cassie had. That's all I got from this case. All I got from this case was that this was a very abusive and a very freaky relationship that others got themselves involved with at times. It just didn't make sense, bro. It just didn't make sense. I feel like prosecution completely dropped the ball, because he was facing life if he was found guilty on these charges. So, like I said, he's held. He doesn't have any bail, which I found kind of shocking. I don't know if they can fight that, but being that he's a first time offender, but this should never have been a RICO case. This should have never been a RICO case. Never, not one time. I don't know the statute of limitations as far as if they could have charged him based off what we seen on the video with Cassie, and that's the reason why they didn't pursue it. But they was going to be hard pressed to find him guilty on any of this sex trafficking and racketeering. It just didn't make sense. I knew they was going to get him on the prostitution, because that was the lowest on the totem pole. Like, you flying her across state lines, you flying other sex workers across state lines to engage in sexual acts. By law, that is prostitution. And that gets murky too, because we do know that people are literally doing that on an everyday basis. So going forward, I'm interested to see how, people start handling it, when they want to link up with somebody. Yo, I'm about to be in your city, I'm about to be in your town. That's another conversation for another day. But them getting him on the prostitution, I kind of saw that coming. But again, sex trafficking and racketeering, it just didn't make sense because of the evidence didn't line up. Again, he should be in prison for the Cassie video, but he didn't get charged for that. And so for them to present this RICO and not have that in there, I'll have to do more research on as to why. But I kind of felt like at the beginning, and just seeing how this case played out, they wasn't gonna find him guilty on sex trafficking and racketeering, because the evidence just didn't line up. It was just, to me, I kind of felt like it was a lot of theatrics as far as the witnesses, because none of the witnesses were accounting to anything that pointed to these charges. Everything was, freak off this, freak off that, Then you had the abuse claims, but again, he wasn't on trial for abuse. So I kind of felt like they dropped the ball, honestly. I do see him getting time served. I don't see a situation to where he's going to do more than 3 years for this. I really don't. And them not giving him bail, I kind of feel like that was them like, nah, you going to sit down until we get this sentence in. And they pushed that sentence out further to October for a reason. So I kind of feel like they know when it's all said and done, he's going to be home. He's going to be home. Combs will get 10 months credit for time served so far, the judge said, proposing a sentencing date of October 3rd. So each count carries a maximum sentence of 10 years in prison. Prosecutors said their preliminary calculations indicate Combs should get at least 51 to 63 months imprisonment on the two convictions, or a sentence of roughly 4 to 5 years. I don't see that happening. I don't see that happen. And if that does happen, then hey, you made your bed. You got to lay in it, dog. You got to lay in it. So that concludes that case. That definitely was high profile. We've been following that for a few months now. And then just in terms of everything that's been going on since last year, because technically this all started around December 2023. And it's time waits for nobody. It's just crazy how fast this has went by. So that's really that on that. I don't really have too much because honestly, like I said, I felt like prosecution, they was lazy in this case. Brian Steele was also one of the lawyers on this case. So even with him, this is now back-to-back cases now that he's beating a RICO case. And one of them being state, one of them being Fed level. So yeah, and I honestly also, because I want to have this conversation, people talking about where does Diddy go from here? Can he come back? I want to be honest with you. I think ever since that Cassie video came out, he was done. I don't really even see him being found not guilty on these charges. I still don't see him being welcomed like in that light again. I don't. There may be a couple of people who was close to Diddy might pop out with him or go to his crib, chill with him. But as far as him making public appearances, I still think that Cassie video did enough damage. I kind of look at it like the Ray Rice situation. Ray Rice was ready to come back, play football with the Ravens. That video dropped that Monday. That was it. He was done. So I don't see a situation to where Diddy is welcome with open arms in the black culture. Like I don't see it. Of course, you got others feel like, he was getting railroaded. He was set up. Cassie, she's not a victim. She was, a participant. I don't subscribe to that at all. She was 100% a victim, 100% a victim. And people still got to understand, and I said this before in a previous episode, just because you consent to freak offs in the beginning don't mean you consent to them all the time. That's just what it is. At some point in time, things like that, what you enjoy can become abusive. I don't know why that's so hard for people to understand, but we all know why. Like I say about anybody else, the great things you do in black culture don't absolve you from your nasty ways or your nasty actions. They just don't absolve that. But I still don't see him coming home and, oh yeah, it's still Puff like how we saw him in Bad Boy and in the late 90s and the early 2000s. I just don't see that. Him being the mogul, I don't see that happening. I don't see him being welcomed back in black culture with open arms. I just don't see that. I feel like that Cassie video did enough damage. So even with him being found guilty just on the prostitution and him being found not guilty on the sex trafficking, I still don't feel like that does him any good. I still think that he needs to lay low, go stay in Miami, wherever it is that you stay at, do whatever you do with your kids. But as far as like being welcomed back with open arms and within the culture, I just don't see that. I don't see that. Again, of course, you're going to have a few celebrities who, they've been straddling the fence throughout this whole shit, who now all of a sudden probably going to be on him now because he got found out guilty. So they find a window of opportunity, whatever the case may be. But as far as a collective, I don't see that happen. I don't see that happen at all. So moving on next, Trump officially signed the big beautiful bill, man. And that's something else that I spoke about before. And all I can say is, man, it's gonna be a rough 4 years, man. It's gonna be a rough 4 years. So I want to read a couple of things in terms of this big beautiful bill, and who are some of the winners and losers in this bill. So legislation is making its way to the Senate. The bill, which is more than 900 pages long, and Republicans had dubbed the big beautiful bill, passed a key procedural vote over the weekend in the Senate, largely along party lines, with all about 2 Republicans voting to advance it. The bill passes state. It will go back to the House, which he signed on Friday. Who are the winners in this? So the legislation would make permanent trillions of dollars in the corporate tax cuts enacted in 2017 during Trump's first term and expand on other tax breaks for businesses. That includes permanently lowering the corporate tax rate to 21% from the 35% level before 2017 tax cuts. Who are the losers? The younger generation. The tax cuts would add around 3 trillion over the next decade to the national debt, according to analysis by the Congressional Budget Office. That means the U.S. would have to borrow more money to cover its expenses, requiring it to pay an estimated 600 to 700 billion in additional interest payments, according to an analysis by the Center for a Responsible Federal Budget. The amount of money Americans pay towards interest on the country's debt is expected to increase sharply in the coming years, totaling 78 trillion over the next 30 years and accounting for 34% of the federal revenues. Insane. Other losers, lower income households. Provisions in the latest version of the bill would cause nearly 12 million low income people to lose their health insurance over the next decade by cutting around 1 trillion from Medicaid, the health insurance program for poor and disabled people, according to the CBO. The Senate bill includes steeper cuts to Medicaid than the earlier version passed by the House. The cuts would take a particular toll on people in rural areas who are more likely to receive their health insurance through Medicaid than those in urban and suburban areas. Researchers at Georgetown University found that 40% of children in small and rural towns receive their health insurance from Medicaid. The bill could also reduce the number of people who receive their insurance through the Affordable Care Act. Now, let me speak on that, because when the election first came down, the biggest reason Kamala Harris lost was due to those rural counties. Every time election time comes around, those rural counties always come out and vote red. It never fails. It happens every single time. Lower income, whites, Hispanics, Hispanic men, and white women, they will get their ass out here and they always will vote for Trump. And I understand why we be having these back and forths among black culture. I'm not really amongst black people, these back and forths between black men and black women who vote for this. The fact of the matter is, black people overall vote at the minimum 80% clip Democrat every time. Every single time. Black, male and female combined. Every single time, 80%. Too busy fighting each other when the real enemy is, and I really want to speak to the black women on this, because you have to be more mindful of white women. White women are not your allies at the end of the day. White women continuously prove, regardless of the struggles that women face collectively, they will always align with their white husbands. It's never going to change. It's never going to change. It will be that way forever, bruh. They're not moving away from what their husbands vote for on an overall scale. They are going to vote that way every single time. I wanted to read this because I found this very funny and very interesting, because I don't have no remorse for this city. And I came across, matter of fact, hold on. I got it right here. Where we at? My apologies, y'all. So Curtis is a small town of 900 people in rural southwest Nebraska. The Curtis Medical Center announced yesterday it is closing after more than 30 years. It is the only healthcare provider in the community. They blame Trump's Medicaid cuts. Interesting, Curtis. Because when we go look at it, in that city, 87% of people voted for Trump. Major Bear, you got a lie in it. That's all I can really say. I don't have no remorse for the city. And there's a lot of rural counties like Curtis, Nebraska, that did this same thing. The rural counties always come out and they vote red. They vote for Trump. It don't matter. That's what you did this the last election. That's what you did. You did it 2016. You did it 2020. Biden came out victorious in 2020, of course. But a lot of this had to do with the fact that Kamala was a black woman, and the fact that Trump already had served being a president before. Kind of gave him a lot of leeway. But fact of the matter is, these rural counties, they always vote like this. I don't know what it is about like poor white people that have this allegiance to Trump. I don't understand that shit. He don't give a fuck about y'all. But at the end of the day, race rules. It always gonna go back to that. Race rules. They don't give a fuck. So now, Curtis, Nebraska, the only medical center that you have is closing after 30 years due to Trump's Medicaid cuts. Major Bear, you got to lie in it. Major Bear, you got to lie in it, bro. And I remember I spoke on this before. That's Elon had issues with this big beautiful bill being passed. Now all of a sudden he forming some party. Like, bro, that was your homie. That was your homie for like a year and a half. Y'all keep smiling all up in pictures and shit like that. Now you upset. This shit is ridiculous, bro. This shit is ridiculous. All I can say is, if you got you a good job right now, keep that shit. Cause the job market was already bad. It's about to get worse. You know, these dog up to 12 million. I think it was up to 12 to 17 million. I think it's up to 17 million people can be affected by this. Other losers in this bill. Less funding for Medicaid and fewer people with health insurance would mean a drop off in doctor office visits, prescription refills, and medical procedures, and as a result, fewer workers needed to support those type of services. That could lead to a loss of nearly 500,000 healthcare jobs over the next decade, according to analysis by George Washington University and the Commonwealth Fund. The Senate bill will also prohibit Medicaid funding for entries that provide abortions, include Planned Parenthood, which could cause cutbacks or the closure of those healthcare centers. The Senate legislation seeks to migrate some of that pain for rural healthcare providers who care for a disproportionately high number of Medicaid patients, with a $25 billion fund for rural hospitals. At the end of the day, the rich get rich and the poor don't get a fucking thing. That's really all it is. I did see some, if you work in like the restaurant industry, you get tips, you won't get taxed on tips. Some middle income Americans may see increase on their paychecks, but ultimately, like, this shit is terrible. This shit is terrible. And honestly, I just don't see a situation to where it's going to take years to climb up out of this hole overall. Again, you don't have to be personally affected by this to see how this affects the whole country. You could be doing well off financially. You could be doing very, very well for yourself. But overall, yeah, so also another nugget. The big beautiful bill has 1.1 trillion in health cuts and 11.8 million losing health care. Yep. Oh, let me see. Any other? There was some other. Here were some of the pros and cons to the big beautiful bill. So tax cuts could boost take home pay by up to 13,000 for families and 11,000 in wages, especially for middle class earners. That's a 30,000 to 80,000 range. May create 7 million jobs via business incentives. Key word is may. Seniors get tax breaks like a $4,000 deduction. Here are the cons: adds 3.3 trillion to national debt, risking future economic stability. Cuts to Medicaid. Wealthy gain more. Top 1% get 70,000, while poor's lose 500 to 1,600 yearly. It benefits some, but hurts vulnerable groups and increases debt. We all know who are the top. What makes the country, the country, flourish, and that's the middle class. They're gonna be the most affected, middle class and the lower income. So all I can say is continue to try to work as hard as you can. If you got a great job, stay with that shit. Stay with it. If you got a good job, stay with it. This is not the time to be job hopping. It never was. Over the last 4 or 5 years, it's never been a good time to be job hopping. But this 100% is. And what's so funny is because Trump said, and that's what I'm saying, like he played in y'all faces. He said, "Yo, your Medicaid won't be affected. This won't get affected, and all this other shit." Played in y'all faces. Played in people's faces, bro. That's really all you can say about it. And honestly, I feel for those who are on Medicaid. I really do. I really do, because especially the elderly, because we know a lot of elderly people rely on that, especially for certain prescriptions. Maybe they be a diabetic patient, whatever they may have going on. So, and also, this is definitely going to increase, deportation as far as illegal immigrants. But I did see recently that he's gonna kind of do like a pause on that, because he's seen a lot of jobs are being affected, of course, with his dumb ass. But it's ultimately, this is bad. It's gonna be a major impact on SNAP, food stamps, all that. So I really don't have too much words for it, man. This is where the bulk of y'all voted for, so you have to line. I just still find it so amazing that the poor poor whites really will go out and really vote for this man, bro. Like this really explains how racism works in America, bro. You know how racist you got to be a poor white to still go out there and vote for Trump? That's against your best interest. That shit. How racist can you be to you still gonna go out there and vote for Trump against your best interest, all because you don't want to see a black woman in office? That's crazy, bro. That's insane. And now, like I explained earlier, the city of Curtis in Nebraska, the only health facility that you got in that city is going to be shut down due to Trump's Medicaid cuts. You made your bed, you got to lie in it, bro. That's where we at with it. You made your bed, you got to lie in it, bro. So that's pretty much all I got for that. It's hilarious more than anything. All you can ultimately do is continue to go out here, like I said earlier, work, get your money up, do the best that you can, because this shit ain't set up for us, man. Ultimately, this shit ain't set up for us for nobody to see. They could push that American dream shit all they want. Some people, they do live it, but there's just certain levels when it comes to policies and politics overall, because I don't really deep dive into politics that much. I know enough, and I do my due diligence to know the things that I should know. But ultimately, politics is a dirty game, bro. It really is. It really is. But getting into some good news as far as politics, because I did want to highlight this. Baltimore Mayor Brandon Scott definitely hit new lows as far as crime in his city. Baltimore Mayor Brandon Scott says city has fewest homicides in 50 years. Through June, Baltimore has had 68 recorded homicides, which is the fewest in 50 years. For comparison, the city had 88 homicides in its first 6 months of 2024. Additionally, compared to 2024, auto thefts are down 34%, robberies are down 22%, arson is down 10%, and carjackings are down 15%. He had a quote: "Our continued progress is the direct result of the comprehensive evidence-based public safety strategy that we have implemented in partnership with residents," said Mayor Scott. "I want to acknowledge the leadership of our community violence intervention ecosystem. The men and women of BPD, our regional," excuse me, this pop-up just happened. "Our regional law enforcement agencies, our partners in the state attorney's office, U.S. Attorney Office, and the Office of the Attorney General. But our work is far from over. 68 lives, loss of violence is 68 too many. While we acknowledge the historic lows we are experiencing, we must simultaneously acknowledge that there is much work to do, and our success makes me commit to further doing it." Yeah, so I wanna salute to him, man, because that's major. That is very major, and we know Baltimore to always be ranked high. ranked high as far as homicides, murder, crime, period. I want to highlight some of the things that he implemented. Mayor Scott invested in 42 summer youth programs, 29 literacy programs, extended the rec center hours to 11 p.m., planned block parties, opened the pools for safe fun, and opened several schools up for summer classes. Crime is down 62%. Hey, man, you definitely gotta salute that, man. That's major. That's definitely major. And I want to salute him and others in that community, because the number one thing you got to give the youth as far as an outlet, you got to give them something to do. You got to have rec centers. You got to have, community centers. You got to just give them an outlet. We all know sports is a good outlet, but some of the other things they could get into to garner their interest, like you can start programs where, they're doing engineering. They can, start learning early about HVAC and stuff like that. Jobs that that are going to be needed as they continue to get older. So again, salute to Brandon Scott for doing that in Baltimore. And hopefully this can be a stepping stone for other cities to take a step, especially in, low and impoverished communities, especially, that's filled with black people, because kids are always the future, bro. I always say that. Kids are the future, and they always need something to look forward to. And if they don't have nothing in the community that's getting their attention, we all know they say, out of time is the devil's workplace. So that just could lead them to being in the streets. In some communities, they don't even have sports to be an outlet. All they have is the streets. So definitely salute to him. I want to congratulate him on that, because that was definitely major, man. So salute to them. Getting into some new music. Getting into some new music. Drake definitely has an album coming out called Iceman. He did a live stream on, what was that, Friday at 9 o'clock to kind of, jumpstart the promotion. He released a new track called What Did I Miss? And he also played a new track in his live stream called Supermax Deals, or Supermax, one of the two names. Uh, First off, as far as the promotion for the stream, I do like the idea of Drake doing the live stream as far as rolling out the promotion for this album. I do like that. The only thing I will say though is, dog, you got to fix that audio, bro. That audio was choppy as hell, bro. Like you 15, 20 years in the game. I know you could get that under control, but that audio was terrible, bro. I think, that was the first time that they really did a live. I don't ever remember Drake doing a live stream as far as promotion. So, maybe that was kind of the how can I say, the slip ups that they had. So hopefully, if this continues to be a series, because they did say it was episode 1, hopefully by episode 2 he can fix that audio problem, because that audio problem was kind of annoying. But other than that, I do like the rollout concept. It was dope. He was in this, this factory, that had the Iceman logo. He was grabbing the clipboard, writing down stuff, taking measurements, and all type of shit like that. That was kind of dope to see. Again, he did drop a new track called What Did I Miss? What Did I Miss was kind of cool. I think the beat more so was kind of dope. Second half of the song on the beat, on the beat switch, it was dope as well. I wasn't really feeling the song overall, excuse me. But What Did I Miss? The first half of that song, that beat is crazy. I will say that. But I really like Supermax. Supermax is really the type of Drake that I like. That straight rapping, no hook. You just get on the beat and you just rapping. That's the type of Drake that I like. That's the type of Drake I like to hear. I'm interested to see what other songs he has released as far as this promotion and this rollout. But I do like the live stream idea. Like I said, the only thing you got to do, you got to clean up that audio, dog. That audio was choppy as hell at certain points. But I do like the rollout idea. I do like it. On What Did I Miss? Of course, he was taking shots. He was taking shots at, LeBron James and DeMar DeRozan, of course. And all I can say about that is, honestly, I can understand how Drake could feel as far as feeling betrayed by Braun and DeMar DeRozan. And I'm not surprised that he putting this on records. This is something that I think he's going to continuously highlight, because we all know over the last couple of years, he took that L. He took that L in the battle. He got this lawsuit going on top of, him still feeling betrayed and all that. So I'm not mad at him putting it in the music, honestly. I understand it. And and honestly, I'm not gonna be surprised if he continues to highlight in his music. We all know rap is, that's an outlet for rappers to get out their feelings, to get out whatever it is that they're going through at the time. So I'm not really surprised at it. I could continuously see him addressing it furthermore, rather it be just them two or others. But I do like I do like the Supermax song. What Did I Miss? It was kind of like, it was all right. Like I said, the beat more so carries that song, but it was all right. It was all right. I'm interested to see how many tracks are going to be on this album, what direction he's going to take as far as the overall sound. I still just want, I just want a majority rap album. I always want a majority rap album when Drake dropped. That's what I like. I like the R&B shit. The R&B shit is cool. I'm to the point now where I accept the fact that the matter is, I'll never just get a straight rapping album from Drake. I did get the EP for the Scary Hours off the heels of For All the Dogs, so I do appreciate that. But just like a 12, 15 track album that's all raps, I'm to the point now, I already know that's not what I'm going to get. That's not what I'm going to get at all. So, again, salute to Drake, because, again, I did like that. I did like the live stream idea. That live stream idea was dope. I do like that. Him rolling around through the city, driving the Iceman truck, that was dope. I do like that concept. Like I said, this is episode 1. So by episode 2 or 3, how many episodes he's gonna do, I'm interested to see how that's gonna play out. Again, fix that audio though. That audio was choppy as hell. That's the only thing I really didn't like about it. That audio was choppy as hell, bro. You gotta fix that. Like I said, you 15, 20 years in the game. I know you can get that. I know you can get that under control. What did I miss? If I had to give it a rank, it was cool. I give it like a 7 out of 10. Like I said, the beat more so is what I like the most about it. The raps was okay. The melody was cool. The second half was all right. But ultimately, just a cool track. It's a cool track. But I like Supermax. I like that track, Supermax, that he played. That's the type of Drake that I like. That straight rapping, no hook. Get in there, rap and do your thing, that's the Drake that I like. So if I had to rate that record, I get that like an 8.5. That's what I want to hear. Of course, I want to hear, more on the high quality. Hopefully he drops that sometime throughout this rollout, but that's what I want to hear. That's the type of Drake that I like. That Supermax, that track is fire. No other new music came out. Of course, we got Clip's album that comes out next week. That drops as well. That will be coming out on the 11th. Let God sort them out. But as far as any other music that came out, ASAP Rocky dropped a new track. Let me see. What was the name of that? And JID dropped the album. I'm not really a JID fan. Or Jid, however you pronounce his name. No disrespect. I don't know if you go by JID or Jid. I think it is Jid. But yeah, ASAP Rocky dropped a track called Pray for the Gang. I really didn't like that. Gunna got a new track called Won't Stop. That's actually kind of fire. I do fuck with that track, actually. I do fuck with that record. That is a dope record. That actually dropped and I didn't cover that. That actually dropped almost a month ago. So I want to salute the Gunna for that. That was a dope record. So yeah, that's pretty much we all got on music. Again, Drake did a live stream for Iceman. Really dope live stream concept idea. One thing I will give Drake though, when it comes to album rollouts, he does always kind of do like a good rollout. That's one thing I will give him. His rollouts do be kind of top tier. When he did CLB, he did the Billboard thing. Hello, whatever city it was, CLB is coming. I did like that. When he did For All the Dogs, he had the little snippet with his pops playing from back in the day. That was kind of dope. I remember when he did If You're Reading This Is Too Late, that font he was promoting that in different areas as well. That was dope. So again, I highly anticipated album. Of course, Some Sexy Songs For You came out earlier this year, and that album actually went platinum. It's a pretty good album. There's only a few tracks on there that I revisit. That Small Town Fame still continues to be. Actually, it's my number one on my 25 replay list so far. And salute to Apple too for doing an all-time list. I want to speak about that. They did an all-time list this is their 10th year. They knocked the shit out the park, bro, as far as my list. So I want to salute them on that. Also, Apple Music did the top 200 streamed songs of all time. So I'm gonna go ahead and read the top 10. So number one, well, let me go top 10. So most streamed songs in Apple Music history. Actually, they did 500 songs. Of course, I'm not gonna read the top. So I'll do the top 10. So the top 10 was, where we at with? Okay, here we go. Coming in at number 10 was Billie Eilish's Bad Guy. Number 9 was No Guidance by Drake and Chris Brown. Number 8, Ed Sheeran, Perfect. Number 7, Travis Scott, Sicko Mode. Number 6, Drake, Wizkid, and Kala's One Dance. Number 5 was Post Malone and 21 Savage, Rockstar. Number 4 was Post Malone and Sway Lee, Sunflower. Number 3 was Drake's God Plan. Number 2 was Weeknd's Blinding Lights. And number 1 was Ed Sheeran and Shape of You. I don't really listen to Ed Sheeran. I don't listen to a lot of these people in this list, mainly just Drake. I don't listen to The Weeknd, but I'm not surprised that the records got ranked in the top 10. So salute to Apple Music for doing that. That was pretty dope. And again, salute to them for that all-time playlist because y'all killed that shit, man. Y'all definitely killed that. So getting into some sports shit, man. Starting off, Malik Beasley, gambling debt. These niggas continue to not learn, bro. I don't understand this shit with these niggas, bro. I do not get it with you niggas. Why the fuck you can't bet on the sport you don't play? You all know when you go to sign a contract, it states that you cannot bet on the sport you play. Why risk the people that you take care of, your income period, all because you want to gamble on the sport that you playing? That shit don't make no sense. You risking generational type bread because you want to play a parlay. You want to go out here, you want to rig games. Now, I did see recently Terry Rozier, they didn't find nothing that stated that he was gambling on the sport. So that just let me know, like, damn, nigga, like, you just that sorry for real. But Malik Beasley, this nigga was wilding, bro. And for him to make that much money throughout his career so far, and I actually want to read some of these before I get into how much money he's made in his career so far. So let me read this. This is coming from Beasley's defense lawyer. I have been with Malik for a long time. I have seen a lot of people around him come and go, but I have stayed away from any of his financial management or mismanagement or decisions he would make with money. Beasley criminal defense lawyer Steve Haney told News on Tuesday. I'm his lawyer. I don't get involved in his finances, he added. You hope to get them around the best business people and planners and management people. Sometimes they do and sometimes they don't. I don't understand these niggas, bruh. These niggas be making, especially these niggas post the 2010 era, because we all know these contracts are way bigger now. In March, Beasley was sued in Detroit's 36th District Court for failing to pay $14,150 in rent at the Stott. The historic high-rise apartment building in downtown Detroit is owned by Bedrock Detroit, the real estate arm of business empire built by Dan Gilbert, who owns the NBA's Cleveland Cavaliers. Last month, Beasley was sued again by the Stott for failing to pay $7,350 in rent. A hearing is scheduled for July 15th. In January, a celebrity barbershop with a long roster of NBA stars won a $26,827 judgment against Beasley. The barbershop Cairo Cuts operates in Milwaukee, where Beasley played for the Milwaukee Bucks from 2022 to 2024. Meanwhile, in January, a Minnesota dentist won a $34,390 default judgment against Beasley, according to the court records. The dentist Hassan Al-Shabi of Delicate Smiles started garnishing Beasley's paychecks from the Pistons in February. The debt has not been satisfied, according to court records. This is fucking ridiculous, bro. This don't make. How do you run up a debt for a dentist? How the fuck do you run up? Like, how does that happen, bro? How the fuck does that happen? That doesn't make any sense, bro. That doesn't make any sense, bro. I don't have no remorse for that nigga, bro. Any of these niggas who bet on the game, because this doesn't make any sense. Let me look up this nigga lifetime contract earnings, bro. Let me look up his career earnings. Last year he made $7.2 million. Let me look up his career earnings. So in his career, Malik Beasley has been playing basketball since 2016. He is 28 years old. So far, he has made $59 million in his career playing basketball. What the fuck are you doing with your money, dog? On top of gambling, which is, again, fucking stupid. Because, again, when you go sign your contract, you cannot bet on the sport you play. You know that. Why these niggas just don't bet on baseball and bet on fucking football and vice versa? Football, too. Because Calvin really got caught up in that too, but, he paid his debt and he was able to come back and play and actually get a new contract. So salute to him, because I don't ever want to see nobody lose their bread. And I don't want to see Malik Beasley lose his bread, but this is just fucking stupid. And I can't have remorse for these niggas. He was on track to, sign a new deal with the Pistons. Now that's on hold. Nigga, how the fuck you run up $34,000 on a dentist debt? That don't even make sense. How the fuck does that happen? Then he was able, I guess the shit, because, he started garnishing his paychecks to get paid. That's crazy. Like $26,000 for a barbershop debt? That don't even make sense. Failing to pay $7,000 in rent? Failing to pay another $14,000 in rent? Come on, dog. Something ain't right. This nigga, he need to get a handle on his finances for you end up like them niggas on that ESPN 30 for 30 documentary. Broke. That has to be one of the biggest fears of the new generation now. It has to be one of the biggest fears for these new niggas coming in. It gotta be. Y'all had too many examples of niggas making generational type bread and being broke by the time they 35 to 40. That don't even make sense. Definitely tapped out by the time they 50 years old. You have way too many examples. So Malik Beasley, bro, you need to tighten the fuck up, bro. Tighten up. I want to see him come out from under this. But it's hard. Again, it's hard for me to have remorse for these niggas, man, because they don't give a fuck. They stupid as fuck. It don't make sense. Again, betting on the sport that you play, not only the sport that you play, the games that you playing in. Now, niggas want to make this excuse about, oh, well, the NBA, they're profiting, they're in bed in business with DraftKings and dog, that's betting has always been around. I don't give a fuck if the NBA and NFL is in bed with these niggas. You know better. And again, you don't have to bet on the sport that you play. You can bet on football. You can bet on baseball. These niggas just fucking stupid. You know better at the end of the day. I don't care if they got a $5 billion contract with DraftKings or Underdog Fantasy or Prize Picks. It don't matter. That ain't got nothing to do with you. Your contract states you should not be betting on the sport that you play. Period. You succumb to peer pressure because the league is in bed with them and you can't profit, nigga, you already got a contract. Take your bread and go bet on another sport. It's that simple. But now you risk not only your career, other people that you probably take. See, these motherfuckers is selfish and they stupid and they don't know no better. Your agent is affected. Your mama probably affected. Your kids are affected. People under your payroll, because these athletes have people under their payroll. Now you affect their bottom line. All because you want to be stupid and you want to be greedy. Greed and stupidity is why these niggas is in the position that they in. Greed and stupidity. I don't have no remorse for Malik Beasley, bro. I don't. Just stupid, bro. It don't make no sense. I'm still trying to figure out how the fuck you run up a $34,000 bill at a dentist office, bro. What the fuck are you getting done? like be for real. Barbershop shit, I understand because the barbershops, they always fighting for their bread. And if you a barber, bro, make these niggas pay right. You're not having no tab with me if I'm a barber, bro. We not doing that. I need my money today when I cut your hair like any other customer. I don't put no other customers. I don't care how much bread you make. Now, a lot of the times, these barbers, especially if they upcoming, what they do is they rather them post, the athlete post them because they see that as more valuable than getting their bread. There's a fine line with that, bro, because these niggas feel like them posting you is compensation enough. No, bro, you still deserve your bread. So for this barber to let Malik Beasley run up $26K and cut money is fucking insane, bro. That shit doesn't make any sense, bro. That shit is ridiculous, bro. That's insane. So I'm interested to see how this investigation pans out because this is fucking ridiculous, bro. This is insane. So in other sports news, we had the Knicks hired Mike Brown. Knicks, what the fuck are y'all doing? I spoke on this before too. Why the fuck you hire Mike Brown? You had Tibbs. Now I'm seeing a running joke that they basically hired the black version of Tibbs. I feel like Tibbs is a better coach than Mike Brown, but hey, if y'all want to group them together, okay, cool. Fucking stupid. Doesn't make sense. You could have just kept Tibbs. How is Mike Brown moving the needle over Tibbs based off his resume? I need somebody to explain that to me. Because that don't make sense at all. You fired Tibbs to hire Mike Brown. Where's the level up? I don't see no level up because all you're gonna do is, this is exactly what the fuck is gonna happen. Mike Brown is gonna reach the playoffs. They're gonna reach possibly another ECF, lose, and you know what they're gonna do? They're probably gonna have a meeting to probably maybe Mike Brown is not gonna get fired, but he's under pressure or they're gonna fire him. That's how it's going to go. He's going to get fired or they're going to have one of those conversations where he has another year because the Knicks should have won this series and da-da-da. Bro, you should have just kept fucking Tibbs, bro. That's what you should have did. You should have kept him. I said this before. You had no reason to fire him. How was you going to get a level up on the market? There was no level up from Tibbs on the market. There wasn't. Now, I initially thought they was going to get Mike Malone because I saw the writing on the wall. I was wrong on that. But this Mike Brown hiring don't fucking make no sense. Knicks just doing Knicks shit. Just stupid. Stupid as hell. Dumb. These niggas don't know what the fuck they doing, man. But that's Knicks shit for you, bro. They don't deserve nothing at this point. They don't. These niggas continue to do dumb shit. You haven't seen success on this level in 25 years. Tibbs got you to your first ECF in 25 years as a head coach. All the coaches you had before Tibbs didn't reach those heights. And had a couple of playoff appearances under Tibbs, too. The last time you was in the playoffs was 2013 with Mike Woodson. Prior to that, the last time you was in the playoffs was 2000. So you don't be in the playoffs like that. So, I don't know, man. I don't know, man. I don't get it. I want to salute Shea Gildas Alexander, aka SGA, on receiving his new contract. And let me see, because I want to get the numbers correct. I want to make sure I get his numbers correct. I don't want to fuck it up. So he signed a 4-year, $285 million Supermax contract extension. The deal, which will keep him under the Thunder through the 2030-2031 season, makes him the highest paid player in NBA with an average annual salary of $71 million. The extension will kick in starting in the 27-28 season. Total value $285 million. Contract duration again through. Yeah, so salute to him, bro. Salute to him, bro. Well deserved. Again, I said this last week. He has nothing else as far as prove as his legacy, in my opinion. But hey, man, when you work hard, this is what you get. He deserved every dime. He should be getting more. I think he could have waited and signed a 5-year deal, but he chose to go ahead and get the. I mean, $71 million a season, bro. What more can you ask for? You don't really there's not much more you need to ask for, bro. Like that's kind of insane, bro. It's kind of insane. I want to read this breakdown because this breakdown of his contract was crazy. Definitely insane. Where are we at with it? Here we go. So SGA's contract breakdown. He will be making $71.25 per year, $5.94 million per month, $1.48 billion per week, $868K per game, $212K per day, $8.8K per hour, $147 per minute, $2.45 per second, $147 per minute. That's insane, bro. But salute to that brother, man. Salute to SGA, man. Well deserved. Well deserved. Salute to you, man. And many more years to come for you. I definitely see him continuing to play at a high level. In other news, we had some big news happen. The Bucks cut Dame Lillard. They cut him on Tuesday, I think, to free up money because the Bucks definitely they have some moves that they have to make, and Dame was one of the cuts that they had to make, bro. It's unfortunate, but I'm not surprised at this. They waived, the Bucks shocked NBA world by waiving Lillard's $113 million deal, and they signed Miles Turner in that. The Bucks are pulling out all the stops in the effort to keep Giannis Antetokounmpo happy. Though their roster limitations, it may be easier said than done. Despite having limited cap flexibility in an offseason, Milwaukee agreed to a 4-year, $170 million contract with Miles Turner. In order to make room for Turner, the Bucks are waiving 9-time All-Star Damian Lillard, who has 2 years, $112 million remaining on his deal, but was expected to miss most of all of next season with torn Achilles tendon. The Bucks are using a stretch provision on Lillard, meaning they will pay out his contract over 5 years. Lillard's deal will take up about $22.5 million of the Bucks' cap space until the 2030 season. So I see the conversation, people talking about how, the Bucks did Dame dirty. You could tear your Achilles and the team just cut you. He was dealing with the blood clot issue. I definitely understand that. 100% understand that. But what we have to understand is we have to look at this from a business standpoint. The Bucks are on the clock. Giannis got their backs against the rope. 2027 is right around the corner. That's 2 years. And unfortunately, Dame does not fit into that 2-year window. That's just the reality of the situation. They wasn't going to wait, let him sit a year, hope he comes back 2026 and be ready to chase a championship within a year span. Because what they have to present to Giannis is a future of contending for a championship. Now, the fact of the matter is, when Dame was supposed to be there, at minimum, they were supposed to reach the finals. That's why they went and got him. It didn't work out. Niggas got hurt. It happens. But now, 2027 come, Giannis is a free agent. The Bucks want to keep the best player they had in their franchise history. Dame had to be let go. Again, it's unfortunate, but it is what it is. There was no incentive for them to keep Dame and present this picture to Giannis that, Dame's going to be out a year, but we can bring him back. And nah, because the fact of the matter is, Giannis, he is definitely looking to leave. I don't care what he's saying. He's still under contract, so of course he can't leave right now. He hasn't officially asked for a trade. But the Bucks are scrambling, bro. The Bucks are scrambling, so I understand this move. It didn't make sense financially and from a competitive standpoint for them to keep Dame. Of course, I want to see Dame come back. I think he'll be in a situation to. If I'm Dame, I do one or two things. I kind of either bow out, and I don't see Dame bowing out. But the reason why I say bow is because you're getting 22 million over the next 5 years, bro. But knowing Dame, he's a competitor. He don't want to go out like this. He's gonna want to come back and play. Go to Boston or Miami, bro. Now I did hear rumors earlier when Dame was trying to get out of Portland that Miami's one of the destinations he wanted to go to. He ended up going to the Bucks. I felt like Dame and Giannis was a perfect pairing. Injuries happened. It didn't work out. Doc Rivers, I mean, they fired the other coach. I can't remember his name right now. Brung in Doc Rivers. So it's just unfortunate for Dame, and I want to see him do better because he did have some serious health complications, and he did try to come back and play. Unfortunately, he tore his Achilles. But this, feelings aside, this was the right decision for the Bucks. It was. It was the right decision for them, bro. It just didn't. It wouldn't have made sense for them to keep him if they're trying to convince Giannis, yeah, this is what your future is gonna look like with us. So it's unfortunate. If I'm Dame, I either, as far as destinations being that he's waived, bro, go sign with Boston. Especially if you're looking to win. We know Boston, they just made some trades. Drew Holiday, he's gone. KP, he's gone. Tatum, he's gonna be out a year. So Dame, Tatum, and Brown, I like that. I like that trio. And then you could get him on a minimum. I like that. If you're a Boston fan, let me know how you think about that. But I like a trio of Dame, Tatum, and Jaylen Brown. I like that. I like that because I definitely want to see Dame come back. I want to see him ball out. But if you're trying to win, go to Boston, bro. I think that's the destination that makes the most sense. Miami, because I know I heard that's the place he wanted to go. As far as their roster construction, I don't see them being no contenders no time soon. But if he wants to try to win, bro, go holler at them. Go holler at them, bro. Go holler at Boston. It wasn't no other. They had this big kind of like a quiet free agency. Ain't really been no big splashes. Cam Whitmore got traded to the Wizards. I know he was on the radar for the Lakers. DeAndre Ayton, he signed with the Lakers. The Lakers are down bad, bro. Them niggas are down bad. Down bad. Down bad. These niggas was having a DeAndre Ayton watch. That's kind of sad. That's kind of sad. When you want a DeAndre Ayton watch, I don't want to ever be in a position like that as a franchise, especially if I got Luka. Now, they need to get it rolling too, because Luka's not guaranteed to re-sign in 2027. You don't want to waste these 2 years neither. They need to get their roster under control too. They need to get some shit shaking. I don't know what Rob got planned going on, but excuse me. If you're that confident that Luka is gonna re-sign in 2 years, hey, I look at Luka as a competitor too. He want to win. So the Bucks and Lakers have some work to do if they want to keep their franchise player. That's all I got to say. The Bulls traded Lonzo Ball to the Cavs for Isaac Okoro. I'm just glad Lonzo Ball is off the books. This is nothing personal against Lonzo, but I've been saying this. Bro. And we kept Lonzo on the books for 2 years while he was recovering from his injuries. Now, granted, he wasn't a franchise player. He was a role guy. He did, when we first signed Lonzo, the first 40, 30 games that he played was tremendous. That helped us get to the 1 seed that we held on for a few weeks. But he just doesn't play. And I wish him the best, but it was time to move on from Lonzo. It was time to move on. So, excuse me, y'all. Hopefully he has another fresh start with the Cavaliers and he gets some shit shaking, but it was just time to move on. I didn't really care what we got in return for him. I just know that it was time. It was time to move on. It was time to move on. And hopefully we can see what else comes from this offseason. It's kind of been kind of quiet. The biggest news we had so far was KD going to the Rockets. I heard there's supposed to be some major 5-team trade that's supposed to be going on in terms of that as well. So we'll see what happens. Like I said, there's nothing else that really has been going on. Nikhil Alexander Walker, he signed with the Hawks, so he'll be leaving the Timberwolves. They also got Luke Kennard. Who else? The Nets re-signed Daron Sharp. Trey Jones, the Bulls, we got Trey Jones on a 3-year deal. We don't need no more guards. We need to get some wing guys and another big man. All we got is Vooch right now. So the Bulls need to get their shit together too, because I'm about sick of this, dibbling dabbling with mediocrity shit, bro. We need to tighten the fuck up too. All this mediocre moves, bro. We got Mataz Buzelis. I think he could be one of the best players in the league in a couple of years. We got Kobe White. I do like the Josh Giddey acquisition. Josh Giddey was playing some great ball towards the end of the year. The Denver Nuggets have also had a good offseason so far. So they got Bruce Brown back on a 1-year deal. They traded MPJ to the Nets for Cam Johnson. And they got Tim Hardaway Jr. and they got Jonas Valanciunas. That's a good, solid backup for Joker. A very, very good, solid backup for Joker, bro. So I'm interested to see how that plays out. There have been rumblings of Andrew Wiggins possibly getting traded to the Lakers, but the Heat want like 2 first-round picks for this nigga. Who the fuck do y'all think that nigga is, bro? Who the Clippers gave James Harden a 2-year extension. I wouldn't have gave that nigga shit. I wouldn't have gave that nigga nothing, man. And to the point now with James where you got to start delivering in the playoffs. I wouldn't have gave that nigga nothing, but I guess it made sense to align with Kawhi's contract. So they got 2 more years before they're up under that, which I think is 2027. And Nas Reed returned to the Wolves on a 5-year deal. Julius Randle returned on a 3-year deal. They kind of kept that core together. That was pretty good for them. Yeah, there's been no other major news. Dennis Schroeder, he signed with the Kings on a 3-year deal. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Summer League is starting up. They did have a couple of games that was going on last night. So yeah, that's pretty much it as far as NBA this week. As far as the news, of course, football season's at a standstill right now. Training camp should be starting back up in about a few weeks. Yeah, that'll be starting up in a few weeks. So yeah, we'll see how the rest of this NBA free agency plays out. And that's pretty much all I got for y'all this week, man. Want to thank y'all again for kicking it with me on this good Monday. You know, please don't forget to like, share, subscribe to this. We are on SoundCloud, Apple, Spotify, and YouTube. Of course, it don't cost nothing to like, share, and subscribe to this. So please make sure you like, share, and subscribe to this pod. Continue to work. Continue to strive towards your goals. Continue to reach heights that you never reached before. Get your ass in the gym. Please get your lazy ass in the gym. The gym will do great wonders for you. And also, man, be safe. So again, this is I'm Not Repeating Myself podcast. I'm your host, Mike, and I hope you heard what I said the first time because I'm not repeating myself. I'm out.